How do you evaluate a chess pawn structure correctly? Imagine walking into a battlefield where every pawn is a soldier with a specific role. Your job is to understand how these soldiers are arranged and what that means for your overall plan. That's what evaluating a pawn structure is all about. It's like reading the map of your battlefield to see where you have strength and where you might be vulnerable. First, look for pawn chains. These are diagonal lines of pawns where each pawn protects the one behind it. The base of the chain is the weakest link, and the head is the most advanced pawn. Strong pawn chains give you a solid defense and control over important squares. Think of them as a fortress while that's hard to break. Next, check for pawn majorities and minorities. A pawn majority means you have more pawns on one side of the board, which can help you push a passed pawn or launch an attack. A minority, on the other hand, might be a weakness or a target for your opponent. Knowing which side has the majority on the queen side or king side helps you decide where to focus your efforts. Now, identify weaknesses like isolated, backward, or doubled pawns. Isolated pawns stand alone without friendly pawns on adjacent files, making them easy targets. Backward pawns are stuck because moving them forward would leave them open to attack. Doubled pawns are two pawns of the same color stacked on the same file, which often limits your mobility and creates structural weaknesses. Recognizing these weaknesses helps you plan how to defend or attack them. Next, find passed pawns. These are pawns with no opposing pawns blocking their way to promotion. Passed pawns are powerful, especially in the endgame, because they threaten to become queens. They can force your opponent to divert resources to stop them, giving you chances to attack elsewhere. Control of key squares and space is also vital. Pawns that control the center or other critical areas restrict your opponent's piece activity. A strong pawn center allows your pieces to operate freely and prepares for attacking chances. It's like having a stronghold in the middle of the battlefield. Look for pawn breaks. These are moves that challenge your opponent's pawn structure by pushing pawns forward to open lines or create weaknesses. Planning these breaks can lead to open files for your rooks or diagonals for your bishops. They are essential tools for transforming your pawn structure into a more favorable position. Your pawn structure also influences where your pieces can go. For example, a solid pawn chain supports a bishop behind it, while weaknesses might requiring your pieces to defend or cover vulnerable squares. Always consider how your pawn formation shapes your overall strategy. Finally, trust your experience and intuition for complex positions. Sometimes the best move isn't obvious, and understanding typical pawn structures and their strategic ideas can guide you. When you face a new position, start by mapping out your pawn chains and spotting weaknesses or passed pawns. Think about how these features control space and influence your plans. Decide whether to push on the side where you have a majority or to prepare pawn breaks to open lines. This approach helps you make smarter moves based on your pawn structure. Remember, a well-evaluated pawn structure is the foundation for a strong game plan.